So the world is full of possibilities, but sometimes, unless we break down some of the barriers and we change some of the perceptions, we're never able to realize even a fraction of these possibilities. Now, it's often said that the insurance industry has a poor reputation. But when I examined my own perception of your industry, this is what I found. Number one, the insurance industry plays a key role in the development of the country. It's a mobilizer of long-term savings into which the government can tap in order to help it to meet its development agenda. Insurance plays a major role as a risk transfer mechanism, facilitating business opportunities. The industry is a major provider of employment, 48 insurance companies and thousands of insurance brokerage firms and agencies. And finally, I perceive that insurance plays a major role in the capital markets. So far, there are, I counted 6 insurance companies listed on the stock exchange, and I believe that there are more in the pipeline. However, despite the almost 19% growth in gross written premium in 2012, and a similar growth in life premiums and contributions, we still have a penetration rate of around 4%. Selling insurance, as you know, is no easy task, and I wondered whether some of the principles that we use in Safaricom could have an application in your industry. Now, the first thing we do is that we define our purpose within a framework of transforming lives. Most other mobile operators simply sell voice minutes and MBs of data. And we've made a deliberate attempt to choose to see life through the lens of making a difference to the community that we serve. Now, I wonder whether you might view your purpose through the lens not of the products that you sell, but through the lens of the purpose that you serve. Now, beyond the purpose that we have defined, we've also defined our values, and they're pretty straightforward. We act with speed, we act with simplicity, and we act with trust. Now, these might not be the right values for you as an industry, but let's just take a few moments to examine them a little more closely to see if they can be of relevance to you. The first one is simplicity. Now, I'll give you an example of the beauty of simplicity for my industry, though not for my company. A few years ago, it was the trend for mobile phones to have an increasing number of keys and buttons, and for the size of the phones to shrink in order to demonstrate how clever the radio engineers were. And some of you will recall the Nokia communicator or the Motorola StarTAC. Then along came an upstart called Apple, who led by a very simple guy, and I think we saw a picture of him earlier tonight. He wore jeans, Benson, and he wore a black turtleneck sweater. And he introduced the phone that didn't even have a button. Today, Nokia is owned by Microsoft, Motorola has sold out to Google, and Ericsson no longer make mobile phones. Steve Jobs understood the beauty of simplicity, and for a while, he almost conquered the world of mobile phones. So the lessons here is just make your services simple for your customers, for your partners, and for your colleagues. 2, understand what simplicity means to them, and then challenge yourself to deliver it. 3, listen to the customer and never get carried away with a clever idea. And finally, think differently and find new solutions to make things simpler. Look to other functions and to other industries for ideas. The second value that we have is that of trust. Now, it takes years to build up trust, but it only takes suspicion, not proof, to destroy trust. Now, yesterday I was at a roundtable session on sustainability reporting, and something that the KEPSA representative said struck a chord with me. He talked about the fear of disclosure. I couldn't understand why he wasn't talking about the liberation of disclosure. Now, there could be no better way of building trust. The trust of your shareholders, the trust of your customers, and the trust of society at large than by disclosure. Disclosure of the good as well as disclosure of the bad. At Safaricom, we don't flinch about telling the truth, whether we think there'll be a backlash or not. And when we put up the price of calling a few years ago, we actually called a press conference. And we said it like it was, and we explained why we were doing it. Our customers didn't like it, but they actually respected us for being honest. We didn't try to change the pricing structure from per minute to per second billing in an attempt to disguise it and to delude the customer. When we figured out that unlimited data was not a smart thing to do, we called a press conference again, and we told people why it wasn't sustainable and why we had to withdraw it. We didn't throttle the data beyond certain consumptions like many operators around the world does. We openly declare how many people we fire each year for fraud and corruption. Only this afternoon, I fired 3 people. And it's not a common practice in corporate Kenya, but we believe that we have retained the trust of our customers through this honest and transparent approach. We continue to grow our market share, and indeed, we continue to grow our profitability against the background of what has been a very bruising price war. So as an industry, I would ask you to consider the following. First, are you reliable and transparent to deal with? Do you deliver for others? And do you trust others? Do you do what it takes to deliver on your promise? Do you ever make a product or service look better or more affordable than it really is? And finally, do you benchmark yourself against the external world, not in your industry, but outside, so that you know when you can make things better for the customer? And the final value that we have is that of speed. Now, ladies and gentlemen, many of you would recall that on the 21st of September 2013, we witnessed one of the most tragic events in recent Kenyan history. A number of armed terrorists stormed the Westgate shopping mall, killing around 70 innocent souls and causing significant structural damage to the building. Within 4 weeks, Mayfair Insurance paid out the first billion shillings to Nakumat. And this was followed by the remainder of the claim within a few weeks later. Now, compare the speed of their response to that of a number of life, health, and business insurance companies who quibbled about whether or not terrorist cover was included in the policies. The people of Kenya showed remarkable generosity in raising up to 150 million shillings in less than a week. It was this generosity that the victims relied upon to get the injured out of hospital and to get the dead buried. When disaster strikes, ladies and gentlemen, it should be the insurance companies that I should have the confidence to turn to. If your speed of response is lacking, I will turn to a Harambee and away from you, probably forever. Technology today gives you all of the tools that you need to achieve speed, from acquiring the customer, to claim verifications, and through the mobile phone, and to paying out small claims using mobile platforms like M-Pesa. So in conclusion, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to say this. Perception actually starts with you. You need to define and reframe how you want to be perceived. Look at the customer through their lens, not just through your own. It's not about the product that you want to sell to them, but it's about rather understanding their needs and their problems and then working with them to find solutions. It's about your relevance to them. In product terms, the iPod was simply another MP3 player. In the eyes of tens of millions of people who queued outside Apple stores every time a new version of the iPod was released, it was something that enhanced their lifestyles. Ladies and gentlemen, the time is now for you to start changing perceptions. The time is now for you to start changing the lives of your citizens. Thank you very much.